Okay, welcome to week 4. Tonight, session 7, and we're going to go over the assessment. Basically, it's the project. We're going to do some publishing of that, and that's pretty much it. So, not a whole lot involved in publishing. So, let me share my screen. Let's see. Here at work, I've got like 3 monitors in addition to my laptop.
Fancy smancy.
Yeah, 2 wide ones and 1 vertical. In fact, you can probably see it.
Nice.
Then I got a nice view of the lake. I don't have a view of the mountains. The mountains are that way.
You still have a better view than I do.
Yeah, you're South Carolina, right? Yep, Somerville.
Yep.
Yeah, I went and visited there about a month ago, actually, driving through. Late one night, my son had worked there for a season, and there was this Frank, let's say like a beef Frank or some hot dog.
Frank's hot dogs. Yep.
Yeah, that's where we went.
Yeah, really yummy hot dogs.
Yeah.
Anything and everything you can imagine on them, you can get.
Yeah. So that was his favorite haunt. So publishing and animation, and that's what we get to do this week. We'll look at the work from last week and go over that. And the publishing, as you have learned probably by now, because we have 2 different project files. We have the ActionScript 3.0 project file, which creates SWF files. And then we've got the HTML5 Canvas project file, which creates HTML5 and JavaScript files. So we'll look at those and see what they output today. So there's no discussion we have to worry about this week, just publishing. So let's go over and let's review your assignment from last week. Yeah, it's over in this monitor. Where is it? There it is. So you can see the output of your file, just by looking at this, you can tell that this is an ActionScript 3.0 project file because it's generated this SWF. So you can't just by looking at this, you can't tell, but you can see the output. That indicates that this is an ActionScript 3.0 file. This here, I mentioned this before, it's just like a holder file. If you want, we can briefly look at that and see what is involved in that. It's a file that you would use to put in your website. I'll bring up Dreamweaver. This is an HTML file, and it's automatically generated by Adobe Animate for you. So here, what I've done is I've brought up the HTML file. So this is it. It's automatically generated by the publishing step of publishing your ActionScript 3.0 file. This is obviously not ActionScript. This is an HTML file. And so what kind of program can open up these types of files? Do you know? What opens up
the HTML?
Yeah. What kind of file?
Dreamweaver can.
Yep.
say I think your browsers can.
Good, good,
But
good. That was what I was hoping you'd say. Yeah, definitely browsers. The browsers would just read it, whereas Dreamweaver can read it and also change it. So that's one difference between Dreamweaver and browsers. So if I double click on this, it'll take the default program, which is Google Chrome, and it will load up the Let's Fly. And you can see the size of the stage there. So if we just do view source, so around this area, if you do a right click, it says about Adobe Flash Player. But if I come over here and do a right click, still Adobe Flash Player. Go a little further, right click, and it stops. Do you have any idea why that might stop?
because you're outside of the scene frame, you're actually on the actual web page.
That's exactly right. Good job. That is exactly right. Good. Yep, you are outside the scene frame, the stage. That's right. Good. So let's see, Shamel. So this area up in here, it's CSS that they generate. And then in this area, HTML. But right here, you can see this object tag. And the object tag is designed to say, hey, browser, we got something that's a little bit different, and you got to be prepared for it. It's just not your normal HTML codes and elements. It's not your normal picture. In fact, it's an object, and its type is right there. Right there. So what that means is this web page is preparing the browser to receive something that it's different than it normally is accustomed to receiving. And this is its major primary type, and this is its minor type here. So the major type is it's an application object. The minor type is it's an X shockwave flash. So this is literally, that's a hard-coded string. So this is how the HTML page communicates to the browser and says, hey, be ready, because I'm sending you a file that is type X shockwave dash flash. So that's its file type. So an SWF file here, and so then we say data, and then here is the name of that file right there. So first of all, we warn the browser of what kind of thing we're sending it. And so this SWF file, which is a binary file, which has been created in the process of publishing an ActionScript 3.0 file, when that's created, it's a file format that the browser actually doesn't know how to recognize. There's something else that knows how to process this kind of thing. Do you know what I might be talking about? What's the something else that needs to be brought into the browser or installed on the computer that can handle this?
Flash in JavaScript.
Flash player. Nah, it's not JavaScript.
It's not, no, and a media player.
Yeah, frankly, the Flash player will handle it all. It'll handle video, audio, all the animations. It's all that stuff is bundled in this one file. And because it's a special proprietary file format, the Flash player knows how to open it up and expand it and do all it needs to do with grabbing pictures and animations and audio and whatever. It's all built into this one file. And So when this file comes in, the browser's saying, whoa, I don't know what to do with this. And what it does is it looks to its computer where it's running, and it says, hey, computer, I've got this thing. Its type is an application X Shockwave Flash. Do you have anything here that can handle this? Because I can't. And so what happens is when you install Flash Player, it tells the computer operating system, hey, OS, I will handle anything of this type. Anytime you encounter this kind of thing, send it my way because I recognize it. I know how to process it. And so the browser says, good enough, man. I need something to process this. And so that's what it does. And literally it gives over the dimensions of its stage on its screen. And it hands it over to the Flash Player. And so the Flash Player takes that area that's been given to it, like you were just saying, and it belongs to the Flash Player now. This dimension, was it 500 by 440 or something like that, 550 by 400. So the Flash Player is in control of this 550 by 400 zone, like you mentioned. You can't see the difference between that and that.
About the only way you can see the difference is if you had a colored background.
I agree.
Then you'd be able to see what the area is.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's add this attribute to the body tag. Go right in there. Save it. And I just saved it. Now what do I have to do here?
You got to republish it and bring it back in.
Okay. So this, I'm actually dealing with the published file. So I'm taking the output. This is the HTML file that it created to hold the Swift file, to be the container for this Swift file. This is the main container here, the object tag, and it goes all the way down to there. So this is the container in HTML for that. All it's doing is like holding it and kind of encapsulates, and it's got information around it, metadata information. But am I editing? What file am I editing here?
You're editing the HTML. You're not editing the SWF file.
That's right. I'm not editing that. I'm not actually going back into Animate and changing the color of the background. So that's one way I could have done it. I could have changed the color of the stage, or I could change the color of the background of the HTML documents. Let's see what that will look like when we come back to here. So I'm going to press refresh. Why would I press refresh? Do you know?
Because you've made a change to it, and if you just play it this way, it's not going to show the change.
Right. So when I hit refresh, what file is the browser going to reread?
The HTML file.
Very good. That's right. Press refresh. Kind of expecting it to have a different color here of background. And it didn't. Background color. Browser's working fine. Save it. Hmm. I'm gonna go look at it, see if the, yeah, it's right there. Let's see.
Wait, go up to where it says HTML body. What about that background color there? Though that's white, right where your mouse was.
Ah, that's it.
That's white.
Yeah, very good.
The body would be, that's not the background, that's the body copy if you had a body in there.
Yeah, yeah, very good. Very observant. So
That one's not going to change anything. You got to go up to where it says background color up here.
very good. Very observant. Good job. So this section is, what is this called up in here? Do you know, is that HTML? This tag is an HTML tag. This is HTML tag. But what's going on inside here? Do you know offhand?
That one I don't know.
Okay. This is CSS.
Okay. So they put the CSS actually in the file instead of a separate CSS
Very
file.
good. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, most web pages have a separate one by themselves.
Right.
Especially if you do an extensive website, it's much easier to do a CSS site or a CSS page that will be applied to all, and you just put in simple code.
Very good.
Versus making each individual one have the CSS in it.
Yeah. So just a little quick review, reminder of what CSS is, or you know what CSS stands for?
Oh, crap. It's been too long. Something style sheet.
Good. Cascading.
There we go. That's it. I was like, I know there's something in the beginning.
Good job. So cascading style sheet, the reason why it gets its name cascading is because it has the ability to have different levels of influence depending on where they put the styling information. And you were talking about an external style sheet. And
Did you ask? Hang on, wait. You froze.
whoa, my internet connection is unstable.
Ah, well, that would be why you froze and you disappeared, and I thought you were asking something.
Wow, that's weird. I'm hooked up to a 1 gigabyte network. But so you're talking about an external style sheet.
Yes.
And so you can see it right here in the head, external type. See that type there? That's kind of like the type we saw a minute ago with the with this type here, right in here. Type application, type text SS. So, so that's external, and then there's internal style sheet, and that is what this is here. This is an internal style sheet because it's internal because it's inside. The coding is found inside the HTML file. It's kind of like a guest that's come over and allowed to stay in the room. So that's like internal. If the CSS is right in there, and then there's finally inline style, and the inline style is when you take the tag and you just put the attribute style and you put it right next to just the tag, the style attribute. So that's called inline. And I doubt that we're going to see any inline going on in here.
A good way else is if you do an external style sheet, you can apply that to font colors, font sizes, that kind of stuff. But with an inline, if you want to be super specific to a certain thing, you can go in and actually put it for that one site or that one area as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's how you target your laser right into that area. So back to this, you're right. So this is CSS, and I wonder if there's like some let's see, formatting. Thought I could maybe make it a little prettier. They have sometimes these little built-in things that reformat it. Clean up HTML. Oh, looks like it's cleaned up. All right, so here we have HTML. basically the HTML tag. It's not the HTML tag, it's actually a reference to the HTML tag. And this is reference to the body tag down here. So what this means is, okay, we're going to talk about styling here for a moment. And if you are inside the HTML tag or inside the body tag goes from here to here. HTML tag goes from here, all the way down to here. If you're inside there, well, I want you to specify the height to be 100%, background color to be FFFF. Now, if you're inside the body tag, I want you to have the margin set to 0, padding between lines and so on set to 0, overflow is hidden. And then here we have flash content, and that should be referencing, let me see if I can find FL right there. So this div tag, this ID is going to have this, the width and 100 will be 100% and height will be 100%. So this styling will be associated with this ID. So for this div tag, so within this area, from div tag to div tag, these attributes, these style sheet information will take place. So let's take this and let's change it to something other than white. So we could do black, for example. This we save, and then come back over here and refresh, and there we go. Okay, so what's this area here?
It's your stage.
Good. And that's specified. It actually correlates with the stage values right here. So what happens is, at the point of the point of publishing, Adobe Animate will say, okay, how big are you? How big is your stage? And then that gets passed in, and so as Adobe Animate is publishing the output, ready, it will say, okay, we need to have the width to be 550 and height to be 440. So these are attributes of the object tag right here. So type is an attribute of the object tag, data is an attribute, width, height, ID, style. See, there's an inline right there. I'm wondering if we were going to find one. This is an inline style sheet right there. We almost have one of each. We've got inline right there. This is a, oh, I meant to say, yeah, no, it's inline. This is internal right here. And we don't have an external style sheet. But so all that, see up there, and then these are parameters that are set up for the object, this object tag. So, so let's look at the object HTML object tag. So defines an embedded object within an HTML document. Use this element to embed multimedia like audio and Flash. So what kind of Flash will it embed in there? What thing? When it talks about Flash, what's it talking about?
In that area there?
Yeah, when it says it's going to talk about Flash, it's going to embed object, embedded object. It's got Flash, so what's the Flash thing? Is that a good question?
Maybe. Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the Flash thing. So you see the example right here. So object, so what do you think this is right there in this example?
The size of it?
Yeah, the size of the, you said it before, this is the size of the blank of this animation. This is the size.
The stage.
Yes, the size of the stage. Yeah. This is not a CSS. This is actually an HTML attribute. There's two different ways you can specify background color. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So back to this, and actually back to this here. So that's the object tag, and this is created only with ActionScript 3.0 project files. And so the purpose of that is to embed they use the word embed. That's what's going on here. This is embedded in there. This is our button. Every time we click, it changes. I guess there's a little bug in it. Play. I'm off by one. So right now.
There's not a bug in it. It's not supposed to loop, remember?
Well, right now, I think it should say play. It stopped and it should say play.
Oh, I think we did do that. Maybe we didn't save it. I guess we remember we caught that late at night before we left.
Right. Yeah. We toggled it because we went from it being we're using that one flag to be like clicked flag, and at first clicked flag was it for it to stop or start, and then or something like that. When we changed it, it should have we needed to toggle it. But it's interesting because every time you click play, pause, and let's fly. I'm trying to remember the logic. Let's go look at the logic. Because
logic of why it says it?
Yeah, I don't remember that it.
Because we had to have it pause and play.
Yeah, that I get, but what I don't remember is the logic that made it go back to let's fly. I kind of thought it was just like.
Because that was the title that we had at the very beginning. Very beginning of the animation.
Didn't we have it stop at the very end, or maybe not?
That's the wrong thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wrong assignment.
Yes, this is the assignment.
We had let's play at the very beginning, and then we put the pause and the play in there.
So I thought I had downloaded your.
You do have. Oh, you don't have the FLA file, do you?
Let's see. Your week. So we just looked at your week 3 assessment.
This is the assignment.
Right?
Yeah, week 3 assessment is what it should be under.
Okay. So week 3 assessment. So that was the week 3 assessment that we're looking at.
Yeah, this is the assignment. Did I flip-flop them? Because I flip-flopped them and then I resubmitted them thinking I resubmitted them right.
Okay.
I flip-flop them. I thought I hadn't fixed it before I submitted it or resubmitted it.
Let's see. Yeah, I think your assignment is in the Dropbox of your assessment.
Yeah, I realized that after I had submitted them that I put them wrong. So then I resubmitted it thinking, maybe I did it wrong twice. It was late. I was tired.
Let's see. Yep. Yeah, I think you've submitted. I think you've submitted the assignment twice. So if you go get,
I did the same
assessment.
file to the same thing twice.
Right.
Sounds about right. How my week has gone.
Yeah, you got the assignment. You got the assignment in the right thing, but you also got the assignment in the in the assessment?
Of course I do. All right. Do you want me to refix that or?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're looking at doing the assessment.
Maybe I'm wrong because I just found your assessment for week 3.
I might have flip-flopped them. What did I?
No, I think it was my fault because I didn't get the latest. That's it. So I'm good. I actually got it, so you're fine.
Yay! I was gonna say, if not, I'll fix it.
Okay. Now I just opened the. All right, so I thought I was telling you the truth because I downloaded the one called assessment in the assessment folder, but it actually, when I opened it up, it actually is it's the assignment, right? So you got the zip file named properly with the word assessment, but wait a minute. Now I'm looking at it and because I looked in the zip folder and I'm finding the flash file is your assignment, but the output, what you publish, that says assessment, and that is the assessment. So what you've got is the assignment project file mixed with the assessment published files, and that's named the assessment zip file. So I still would like you to submit, and you can just submit separately if you want, the assessment flash file. Do you think you have that? I can't hear you. Did I mute? See, I'm not muted. I'll stop the video.
I said just the FLA file, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Which I have it, but my Animate's not wanting to close. So give me just a minute.
All right. Yeah, you can just submit the assessment FLA file.
Because you've got all the other files.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Sorry, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this says assignment.
Okay, now I'm looking for the one that says assessment, the FLA file that says assessment.
And the assessment is the one that has the animation that we're talking about now.
Yes, the one where the balloon goes across, that's the assessment. So I've already jumped to talking about the assessment.
Okay, you should have it.
All right. 1 second. You named it assignment zip file.
I know. I didn't change it.
All right, it's all right. Let's see if I got it in there. Got it. Okay, we're
Good.
good.
I think I confused myself naming what I was doing.
Wait a minute now. This says assessment, but it actually is your assignment.
Like I said,
Maybe you lost your assessment file? No, you probably didn't.
is that not right either?
No, that's your assignment file.
Hang on.
Your assessment file is your maybe your assignment file is your assessment file. Yes.
Then what's my assessment file?
You've got them flip-flopped, which is fine.
Good Lord.
So we're in your assignment, and yet it's the assessment.
So basically, I flip-flop their names.
Yep, that's fine. All right, let's go look in the actions.
So complicated. At least I don't have them both name different things and they be the same thing.
That
And I don't have the other one.
would definitely throw me for a
That
loop.
would really suck.
My, okay, so. All right, so what are we looking at right now?
We are looking at,
Generally speaking.
generally speaking, we're looking at the Flash or the HTML, but it's not HTML.
Okay, what's the file type that we're dealing with here? What's the
Flash.
project? A little more specific.
More specific than Flash.
Well, here's what I mean.
Oh, the Action Script 3.
There you go. Good. Good job. So, yeah, we're looking at ActionScript 3. What's this most similar to? What other programming language that we've talked about is the ActionScript most similar to? Do you know offhand? Maybe that's not a great question.
CSS.
Okay. I was going to say it's not HTML, doesn't look like HTML, doesn't look like CSS technically, because it's got these if statements and stuff. So this is...
If statements are done in HTML. But...
Are you sure?
No. All right.
See,
JavaScript.
you get in JavaScript.
Mm.
Let's see here. Someone asked the question, is there an HTML if statement? If so, I want to know.
Nope. All right.
Okay, so let's see. So it's an if statement. If it's got an if statement, it's got logic in it, and so ActionScript 3 is most like JavaScript. And remember, Flash with its ActionScript 3.0 can now be done with HTML and JavaScript. So back to this here. Okay. Action still says frame 1. And so what we're looking for is we start off in frame 1 with let's fly. So every time we hit, so this is in frame 1. So every time we hit frame 1, all this happens. Actually, let me go up to there. That happens. This doesn't happen just yet. Do you know why?
Because of the line 20 says when the mouse is clicked.
Bravo. That's exactly right. This just sits there and waits until
action happens.
That's right. Very good. Brilliant. I'm telling you, I want you to keep going. I want you to keep going in this because you're really, really, really getting it. So yeah, you're right. It just sits there and waits. And it's not until what gets clicked?
The button.
And what's the button's instance name?
Hang on. Button's instance name. Button text. No. Nope. Well, if it's where your cursor is, it's mouse event.
So the instance name of the button itself on the screen is called. So here's a hint. The thing that we are trying to wire up is an object of some sort. And when we wire it up, we either can set properties to have values, or we can actually call functions to set things up. This is a function because the left and right parenthesis means this is a function call. So objects can either have, after the period, a property, which means information, or after the period, it can have a behavior or a function call. So when we are wiring up a mouse click event, we have to like talk to the thing, the object itself, and say, okay, listen, object, whatever your name is, we're going to have you add an event listener. We're going to wire it right in. So we want to add an event listener to you. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to call you by name, dot, add event listener.
It would be text.
Right. And then the parameters we're going to pass to this function are going to be mouse event.click and mouse, and then the second parameter is actually the function that we're going to jump to. So that's this right there. And this is just a parameter that gets passed in if it happens. So up here, the first thing we do is say, okay, stop all engines, stop the animation, just halt right here on frame 1. So that's the first thing that happens. Next thing on line 2 is, okay, we got to set up a variable. And that's that VARs. And basically a variable is a place in memory that we can keep track of information. And we can call it whatever we want. So we're going to just make up this word called clicked. And this means it's a type. This is the kind of thing it is. It's kind of like a bucket of information. And we're going to call this on the outside, we're going to call it clicked. And it is the thing that holds Boolean. Boolean means true or false. And so this bucket can either be true or it can be false. Because it's a Boolean. It can't be a number 3. It can't be the word John. It's going to be true or false. And actually it's being done with a single bit, which is 0 or 1. That's all it takes. Next thing we say, okay, we got another variable. What's its variable? What's its variable type?
Text field.
Good. And we're going to initialize it, and we're going to say this thing is a text field type. In fact, we're going to go ahead and create it. And so we actually call this is called calling the constructor. The constructor has the same name as the type itself, followed by empty parentheses in most cases. Sometimes you can pass in information. So when we say new, we say make it happen. So this thing is going to be created, not just kind of figuratively talking about it, but we actually do instantiate and create the room in memory to dynamically create it. And then we're going to say, okay, tell me again what the type is, the type of button text. Its type. Its type is text
field. Sorry,
right.
I thought I was unmuted.
All right. So a text field has some properties associated with it. Auto size. If you are a text field, you get to have a property value of auto size. You also get to have the value of background, border, X, Y, text. All those things come with it. So it's kind of like a package deal. If this is what you are, then you get to have these pieces of information associated with you. And the way you access them is you take what your name is, followed by a period, followed by the property itself. And then each of these can be set to different values. This is actually a constant that says, it's actually a constant built in. It's because it's blue, it's recognized by Adobe Flash. And that basically means center yourself. True, this is a Boolean value. Yes, true, yes, there. Value, X position, Y position. That was cool how you figured that one out. You just looked at the stage and where it was located. And then the text is let's fly. Tell me again what add child does.
Oh, crap. We've gone over this.
This is kind of like preparing for the play off stage. But
it's telling people what's going to happen or what that thing's going to do.
Yeah, so here we're like putting on our makeup. We're setting our values, but we're off stage. We're off, the spotlight isn't on us. We're off the set. But this guy says, okay, you're on. So add child means, okay, poof, make yourself happen, make yourself visible. Add yourself to the, add child literally means add yourself to the stage. And so dynamically, instead of us having paid a lot of attention to having created this manually. See, we went to the extreme of grabbing our tool here and making this square. But we could have, had we wanted, we could have actually avoided making that square. And not only did we do all this, but we could have even made ourselves a square dynamically, put the text in there. So we could literally generate that entire button all dynamically, all with programming language. And then when we do this, then it would appear. So, but now we kind of got a hybrid. A hybrid meaning, okay, you took your drawing tool and you created this here, then you went in and programmed into it all this other information. So all this other information is associated with that thing that we created there. Add the child, and then we're ready to go. So when the animation begins, the text, this object itself, there's its instance name right there, is a button. And so we have both a thing that's a button going on here, but we also have a dynamic text field of that's going to be added here. Oh, I wanted to go back and look at the here, the stop. So we do have a stop there in frame 24.
That's why, so it wouldn't loop.
That's right there. So click once, pause. Now it's working. Play, pause, play. Yeah, this has that bug fixed.
Okay, I must not have updated the file then when we swapped it.
Pause, play, pause.
The other one must have been
play.
the very last one before we made that change and caught it. And I just didn't do a resave before I submitted it.
Play. So this is stopped. What frame number are we on?
We should be on 24.
Look
But it went back to 1.
So I'd click once, click again, play.
We might have one extra frame in there.
So it's probably stopped. If I click this again, it changes that, but it's still, so the animation is stopped. Would you say, see, the animation is stopped, but it's still reacting to my mouse clicks. Starting over now. Play, pause.
We didn't give it a variable of when the clicks to be stopped. Or not a variable, we didn't give it a instruction that after so many clicks to stop.
So this click starts off as false. And so the second that I click, and it's, let's text, then it's true. Wait a minute, see,
Starts out false when you click it, it should be true instead of false again.
So the first time I click it, it doesn't have a value. You know what? I think we should set this to true. Because the second that we click it, and we'll drop into this thing, if we default to false and we click it, we're going to drop in here and it won't have the value of click. But we do want to drop in here the second we drop in here. So we're going to start this variable at true and to begin with.
Okay.
Then when I do click it, it'll drop in here and it'll reflect. It'll already be set to true by default. And that's exactly what I want it to represent. It's been clicked. Now, if it's been clicked, we want to turn it off. Let's see. So if clicked, yeah, see, this is going to be a little, we might have to change the logic here. Because if the very first click says let's fly, so if we click it, it's going to jump in here. If it's set to true, it's going to fall into here. It's going to turn off clicked, but it's going to stop it. And then it's going to change the text to play. But we've already clicked it when it was let's fly. So, so let's see, clicked, but let's put these back for a second. Okay, so I click it when it's let's fly, and click it. So I've clicked it and it's going to play. I can bring this down here. Let's see. I'm just reformatting it just a little bit.
That's okay.
Okay, so clicked it, and we want to play. And we instantly want to change that to false. Do we want to toggle the clicked? Maybe we want to say playing. Change it to false. Say pause. Next time we click it. So we say it's clock. Stop. So clicked it says pause. And then else stop, and then we change it to play. Click equals true. We may end up wanting to change our variable names here. We'll start off with this. Let's see. You've already dealt with the publish settings, and so
We didn't hit publish settings. We just hit publish.
okay. So this is kind of what we're going to go over tonight. Or this
Okay.
publish settings is what the
Week 4
week
is.
4 is
Okay,
about.
good.
So here, because we have an ActionScript 3, we have these options here. So the target player, we can actually choose exactly which version of the player we want to target, or we can just default to the most recent one. Air is a kind of a flash player for the mobile phones. That's what that is. So we could create an output file for Air to work. This was really Adobe trying to get a footprint on the mobile phones. They did it with the Air. Air is kind of like the flash player for mobile phones. Here is the type of scripting that we're using, and it's defaulted to 3.0. I don't think you need to worry about this at all. Then here, output file, there it is, SWF, the JPEG quality. Audio stream, audio events, advanced. Don't need to worry about any of these. That is the Swift file that we talked about it creating. And there's the HTML wrapper file. That's the thing we spent so much time on in the Dreamweaver. They call it the HTML wrapper file. If we uncheck that, it actually would not create that wrapper file. It would not create this file. Just by clicking that right there will cause you to create this wrapper file. So it's a wrapper because, we were looking at earlier, because it's got pretty much just a big HTML file surrounding an object tag. And it's kind of like a wrapper. So it's a big wrapper for this thing. Now that's the big thing. This is kind of a wrapper around it. So this object tag. So when you create that, if you check that, it creates that wrapper file. Detect the flash version. Let's see, match movie, pause at start. That's interesting. Okay, look at that. We can turn off loop. Have a display menu, device font. See, we pause at start and then turn off the loop. So I'm gonna click OK. It's gonna go ahead and publish. Those are just the settings that we just worked with there. So I just told it to pause at the start and to not loop. So let's try this out. Let's test this out with going into here, and let's comment out the stop. That's the pause at start. We're going to see if it truly does pause at start. And then we'll save that one. And then over here at the end, we're going to comment that one out too, because that will stop it from looping. So that was supposed to, I mean, that did stop it from looping, but now I want to see if just by using these publish settings, those ones that we're just looking at, pause at start, that's simulating the stop that we had right in frame 1, and then don't loop, and that's simulating us putting a stop at the end. Do you understand what I'm saying? These two settings here are allowing us to do without you doing it in ActionScript. So now I meant to click publish settings, and we click publish. Let's double check those, pause at start, don't loop, publish. Okay. So that just published. And why did it create this file?
Because we told it to.
Okay, and what's that file called?
It was the it was the HTML file that we told it to do. Yeah, the wrapper.
Good. Okay, so and this is the output file. Just got created. See, we just saved it. We published it. There's the wrapper file. There's the Flash player file. So remember, the browser will not process this file. It hands it off to the Flash player completely. It's like, here, dude, this is yours. Take it. Go for it. I'll give you this little real estate. You set up your little booth right here on the stage in this area of the browser, but you take it from there. So let's double click this. And did it stop? Yes, it did. So let's click go, pause, go, and let's let it go. And it's, so just by using the publish settings, we've been able to pull off stopping it in frame 1 and preventing it from looping. I'll just press refresh. That starts us over. Boom, we're done. Single click, so it's clicked. So we don't need this because we turned it off. We said don't loop. And we don't need this. Why? Because we commented that out because we told it pause at the beginning. You know what, we could actually do, let's fly here. So now it just goes back to let's fly. We started off with let's fly, and then we just go pause, let's fly. So let's try that. Pause, let's fly. Pause, let's fly. Pause, let's fly. A little bit different. So now we initialize it, and then we reset to that. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's take about a 5-minute break, shall we?
Okay.
Let's see. Share. Okay, welcome back from the break. So here I've opened up your assignment, and remove this bar over. Okay, so here we have assignment. is this project file an HTML5 canvas project file or an ActionScript project file? Do you know?
It's a HTML canvas.
Good, right there. So the way you created this was File, New, and you chose that one instead of this one. Now, I think this one was created because you did a copy and paste. You had the other one that you had created in ActionScript 3.0, and then you did a copy and paste.
Yes.
Awesome. And that's how you created this. Okay. So, let's go in here, look in the window, actions, and so the assessment had us learn to do a start stop button. So let's see. Oops. Oops. Let's see. Clicking on long clicks. There we go. So I'm going to read the assessment. We have all this. We've got the steps for the assessment. Create a folder, copy your animation files from week 3 in that folder, open your Animate document, convert it to an HTML5 copy if you haven't already convert any ActionScript to JavaScript. We don't have any ActionScript in your assignment. We do in our in the assessment, and that was ActionScript in that for the project file that we were just looking at a moment ago. So we kind of went backwards here. We reviewed your assessment last week, and now we're talking about the assignment. So that's your animation. Make sure it still performs as expected. It needs about 5 canvas environment, zip the entire folder, and so on.
But
okay.
this assessment here.
This is an oh, that's weird. They do call it an assessment. Yeah.
Yeah, this assessment would be last week's
assignment,
which was the one that we just did first.
No.
That's what I thought. This one here is the actual storyboard one.
That is. So see these assignments? This is the write the storyboard. That's create the assets of the storyboard. And this is create the animation for the storyboard. This here is use Flash or Adobe Animate to do this and this and this. And then week 2, it was a different set of instructions. In week 3, we did that. This right here is what we just went over. Which
is the button, yeah.
Right. So it's not your storyboard. It was just so.
But week 4.
Week 4, this actually is this. It's kind of weird.
Which is our storyboard, right?
Yeah, it goes
okay,
like.
That's what I was getting at. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
it's kind of off one here. It goes along the lines. We just call it the assessment, but it's actually the assignment from week 3. So if you look at the assessment, you'll see here it says open your animation files from week 3 in this folder, and then they are talking about specifically your storyboard because it's the animated advertisement. That's the thing that we've been looking at. So it gets a little bit confusing from between week 3 and week 4 because you go from what was an assignment to now it's called assessment. But like I told you before, we're going to be changing that here shortly. So we're going to go straight through, even including week 4. So let's see, publish animation live, including a URL to the animation. It's going to be Behance, Muse, business calendar site, or your own hosted website. So, so the question is, do you have a place where you can publish the output of your animation?
I actually have a Behance account.
Okay. So let's see. See. Let's see. I might have used. Embarrassing. Now you can see how old I am. You know what I just did?
What did you do?
I paused it.
Paused what?
Paused it so that you couldn't see my age.
Ow. It's okay.
Okay.
Who am I going to kill?
It's the hundreds and thousands of people who are going to be watching.
You mean the 3 of us that are in your class?
Okay. So, add work.
Now there we would upload the FLA file.
Nope.
No, the SWF file.
Yep. But actually, we have switched gears to.
Oh, HTML5.
Right. Let's see. See. Check out this list.
Let me make it bigger. Hang on just a second. Okay.
Do you see Flash?
No.
Okay, so HTML5, let's see. So we can't embed Adobe Flash, I meant to say animate the SWF file. So this embedding reminded me of the first thing we went over today where we were looking at the output where we had that wrapper HTML file, which had embedded in it the object of the Swift file. So when it says embed media, you think, oh, great. Oh, maybe I can embed a Swift file. You look, that's a probably a link. That's a link. WTV, SoundCloud, probably a link. Scribed, Google Maps, but we don't see any. Even Spotify. Interesting. So, embedding media. Okay, so we can embed the Swift file, which is fine. We've changed gears over to HTML5 anyway, so let's try uploading files. And let's see what it lets us upload. Now, back here, we have, we want to publish this. Let's look at the publish. So we have a canvas file, so let's look at the publish settings for a canvas file, first of all. These are different than the ones we just looked at earlier, because those other ones were publish settings for an action script file. These are the publish settings that are actually less complex than the publish settings for an ActionScript 3.0 project file. So we have JavaScript HTML. So it's one check, just one check. So you're going to get both the JavaScript output and HTML. So remember, this is normally being, with the ActionScript file, this was all being done, all the animation and the interactivity ActionScript, that's all being bundled inside that SWF file. This, on the other hand, is going to create several files. You don't want this JPEG image or the SVG image right now, because that actually isn't a publishing of your interactive website. That's just like taking a screenshot. So anyways, right here, overwrite the HTML file on publish. So if you look here and say, what's the name of the output file, they're actually asking you about the JavaScript. They're not asking you about the HTML. So right here, they're making a loud and clear message that this interaction is more about JavaScript than it is the HTML, possibly. You kind of might think that they would be focused not on JavaScript, but on HTML. But that's what they're looking at right now, just the JavaScript. So override HTML file and publish, loop the timeline. We can uncheck that. Include hidden layers, export image assets. So what this is remember how I said Swift file puts everything compact into a single binary file that's proprietary and only a Flash player knows how to open it up and process it? Well, with this is it's different now, because this is an HTML5 format, which is non-proprietary. It's an open format, and that's one of the things that Steve Jobs had talked about. He says, one of the things I don't like about Adobe Flash, and that's back then when it was called Adobe Flash, is that Adobe Flash, that it's proprietary, meaning it's not open. It's proprietary, meaning it belongs to Adobe. He didn't like the fact that he's dealing, Steve Jobs is dealing with something that belonged to a file format, which is the SWF file format in the Flash player, that belongs to another company. He doesn't want to invite them into his game, if you will, on the iPhone. It's like, no, you're not invited. So this, on the other hand, so Adobe responded by going, whoa, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do. And so they are kind of in the process of dropping Adobe Flash and the Swift file and the Flash player in place of all this. So here, instead of a single Swift file, now we've got several files that are, it's kind of like exploding it all. The browser itself has to be able to deal with it. The SWF file, the browser handed off to the Flash player before, but now we're going to create something that the browser can handle completely. It's going to be able to handle HTML. It's going to be able to process JavaScript files, any images that we have, or any audio. All that's going to be the browser itself has enough to do it, especially if it's HTML5 compatible. Not all browsers are that new that have the HTML5 compatibility. So, so the images are going to go into their own folder. Any sounds are going to go into their own folder. Any create.js, or in other words, a set of JavaScript libraries, are going to go into their own folder. So it's going to be all sorts of files all over the place. So when we click publish, now let's go look at the file where it published. And so we've got the HTML file, we've got the JavaScript file. It's a little bit mixed up here, so let me do this. I'm going to create a new folder, and this will be just for the Canvas output. Let me take the Canvas file. Which one's the Canvas file? I think your assessment was the canvas file, so we'll go like this. Bring that into there. We'll close this. I'm going to reopen it in that folder. Where was that? Downloads. It's in the downloads folder. Here it is, right here. Okay. Copy that. Go back to the desktop and put it in here. Okay, so now let's do that again. So File, Publish Settings is going to go to all these folders and everything. We'll click Publish. Come back here. Oops. Okay, so this is what we started with, and it generated this, Ishmael. That is not considered a wrapper file. It does have the same extension as the wrapper did for the other one, the ActionScript 3 and Swift file, but this is different. We'll look at this here in a second. Also generated that. Also took all the images and put them in a separate file and included JSON. JSON is a way for it to keep track of, it has its own data files to keep track of everything. So this is the output of the publishing output. See, we didn't have any song or sounds to put in there. See, let's go check the lives folder. I think maybe it's because we go look to see if the lives folder is created. No, I don't see the lives folder. It's probably just because we have no interactivity going on. And if we did, then we would bring in the JavaScript too. So let's go look at these files just to see what they look like. We'll go open up Dreamweaver to see what that. So we are literally opening up the published output of our Animate canvas file. This file, and this is the published output, and this output can be processed completely by a browser. Use that to enter. This looks different. It's also HTML code. It looks different than the wrapper file because now we don't have a Swift file embedded in an object tag at all. In fact, if you look through all this, we can see here the reference to, that is a reference to a JavaScript file, but it's actually referencing it from the website rather than having it local. That's why we didn't have the lives folder, because this is a reference directly to that same file out there on this website. So when they decided to use JavaScript, they didn't have all this code written, so they actually went over and contacted this company. This is Adobe, Adobe folks. They went over and contacted this company and said, hey, we need to get JavaScript code going fast because we're going to phase out our Adobe Flash player. We're going to phase out ActionScript, so we're going to come to you. And so they came to these folks, and they ended up being able to incorporate right into their coding. They're piggybacking on all this code that CreateJS had created, and they did that in order to do the be able to do any kind of animation. In fact, what else can it do? And tweening, sound, preload. So all these things used to be done by the Flash player. I mean, they still are done by the Flash player. But if you're throwing out the Flash player, it leaves you have to replace it with something. And so they this JavaScript is open source. It's open, and it goes along with HTML5. So these are already pre-written modules. Let's go look at the tween one. And if you look at the docs, you'll see that this looks very similar to the document that we were looking at last week. Remember how we went into ActionScript and we went into the library online and we saw that this particular object, this was ActionScript programming. This object was the child of this object, and which is the child of this type of class, and it has all these attributes. This is what's going on here. So this is kind of the comparable library of routines that that Adobe came in and sucked into their Adobe Animate, and in order to replace all that other that we were looking at last week. So here are the different classes and so on, different functions. See, there's the name of the object itself, tween, the module, and then it's got some index and methods. These are all property. These are actually methods here. Back in. So let's come back up here, look to see if we can find. Well, okay, here's a class that you can work with. You can do this programming with the action or with the HTML5 canvas, and you've got methods. These are the behaviors, the properties. Remember we talked about properties. These are properties that you can have for this kind of thing, and then these are events that it can respond to. So back to our conversation about Dreamweaver here. So this right here is going out to that website and say, hey, we need your library. So you're going to suck it in right from your website. So this is a web page that says, thank you very much. We're going to take that and we're going to bring it in. So you can actually go to there and you'll see there it all is. So all this coding is being sucked into your animation that's been output by HTML5 canvas. Now, it's not very pretty because it's been called minimized. Minimized means pull out all the extra white space. If we brought this file, in fact, I think we can go in Dreamweaver, you'll see right there. See that? This is the Dreamweaver file, and you can click on it, and it will go out and go get it. So just by me clicking on it, see it's right there, is a remote file and cannot be edited. So this brought into the editor exactly what I just brought into the browser here. So here it all is. Let me see if we can, now it says we can't edit it, which is fine. I'm not going to go to try save it on their server because they're the ones managing it, not me. So let me see if I can, let's see how, I don't have the ability to clean up the HTML. I was hoping that I could like reformat this so I could, oh, actually it's not HTML, it's JavaScript, as I think. Let me take this and let's see, reformat JavaScript online. Let's see if we can like that. See if I can do that. And control enter. Is that what it means? Just do that. There we go. So what it did is it just introduced, it took that whole file that we were just looking at a second ago. This is all minimized, it's all compact together. It's if you suck, if you like put in a straw and sucked out all the air, it's kind of like you take out all the white space, new lines, tabs, everything, you get this, and that's smaller. But if you come in here and you reintroduce all the tabs and new lines, this is what it'll look like. So this is the code that's coming from their website. And we suck it in, and it looks prettier now. We just kind of beautified it. So all this is being sucked in. So all of this code is being brought right into your animation here. And it does that just because it needs it. it's got some extra stuff in there. We're doing what the Flash player used to be able to do on its own. We're trying to do kind of like manually. So I say manually, but we're just using their code. So here's the JavaScript file. You can click on it right there. Any JavaScript file, the HTML file references, see this one references that one. So you can click on it there and you can just bring it up in the editor. And then here, you can just go like that. I mean, this is another one. So this is the one that belongs to them. Them meaning Create.js, they're the ones that we're using, taking their code, borrowing their code really to get some animation going, just in HTML5 canvas. And then this one here is the one that is generated specifically for your animation. That this one is output when we clicked publish. Oops, file, publish settings. Right here, that's this path. So when we said publish, when we click here publish, it's going to automatically generate this file. So you see that this one is a custom file. This one, it does have read-write access to. The other one that's on the website, we can only read it. We can't modify it. So we bring that in, then we bring ours in. This is JavaScript here. It's specifically JavaScript. It is not HTML. HTML is back here in source code. And this source code on line 17 is referencing this JavaScript file that we're talking about. So that's right there. So this is all JavaScript code going on in here. You don't really need to understand it because it was all automatically generated for you. Any reference to this is really kind of talking about the object itself, the document, meaning the awareness of the browser's like animation, whatever it is, we call this. So anything that's like comes after it is like a property. You remember what new does, and there's a call to cjs.shape as a function. So this is like Adobe, this is like JavaScript trying to do, and this is doing what, because it knows about all this right here, it's translated all your animations, all your objects, and it's now doing them in JavaScript right here. So all of this is, okay, make this, do this. This is all JavaScript code. So we're looking right into really Adobe Animate trying to do what Adobe Flash, the ActionScript 3.0 files could do on its own with the SWF files. This is all it's trying to do. It's making calls and everything. It has to generate all this automatically when you publish, and you don't edit this. All we do is we come along after the fact, go into, and we open up the HTML file itself, double click on that, the browser brings it in, and this is your animation. Now, we've had problems in the past when we publish canvas files that they don't work. Seems like this is happening. I don't want you to worry about it because I can always just run it inside Adobe Animate. But it looks like it's happening again. See, if you do an inspect and inspect, you can see what might be going on inside. These are just JavaScript type errors. That's interesting. It's complaining about something it's finding in that shared JavaScript file we're getting. Anyways, that publishing isn't working. I've encountered this before, and as long as this works and it's a Canvas document, we're good. It's all good. Back to, let's see, the Dreamweaver here. So this is all generated. And here you have some more JavaScript going on right here, all the way down to here. You can write your own custom code here. that would you gotta be careful though, because if you edit this file, because this is a generated, automatically generated file, in the process of just publishing, this file got generated. And if you come in here and edit the generated file in the same way like we added that body, the color to that body, CSS attribute, remember? We added it like black. Same thing there goes for this here. If you edit the published output files, these things are going to get overwritten the next time you publish. And so you kind of got to be very careful, because if you say, well, I can't do everything I want to do inside my animation, inside Adobe Animate, so I'm going to do it right here, but beware, because it says right true forward here, it will be overwritten the next time you do a publish. So there's pros and cons to customizing your code after Adobe Animate's done publishing it. So right here, onload init. So we jump to the init function right up in here. Here you can write some more JavaScript code. This says go, we need to point to the created variable. We've got to point to in our document. That's kind of like this I was talking about earlier. Get element by ID. This is basically, hey, we're saying, hey, browser, you know that HTML file that you are processing, and it's actually referring to this whole thing here. And we're saying that HTML file that you're processing, we're going to refer to it as the document. What we want you to do is, what we want the document to do is go get an element by ID. So it's go make this call. Go find the element, the HTML element that has the ID called canvas. So it comes right down here, and there it is right there. See, ID is canvas. So this here is the element that it's referring to right up in here. So it says, hey, document, can you go check out your element called canvas? Now it's by ID now. Now it's not the tag itself, but it's actually the element which has an ID of canvas. So it's really the right here, we're saying go get it by its ID called canvas. That just correlates with the fact that it's called canvas. I'm not sure why this is making all these noises. I'm going to shut it off. And then images, go get the images and point to them out of the folder. I'm not sure what SS does here. Load the queue, file add event listener. You're familiar with that? The add event listener. This is saying, okay, file load. So if the event called file load, remember how we do mouse click events? Well, the loader is actually also an object, and it is going to, and it's waiting for the event called file load. Handle file load is the function it jumps to. Same thing with add event listener. In the moment that you're complete, you jump to the function called add handle complete. And then loader.load file, and it will go out and it first grabs the JSON file. It's a sprite sheet. You may have heard about sprite sheets before. It's kind of a quick way to have like a single graphic and to be able to bounce around that one graphic rather than trying to pull down mini graphics to your drive. Or to your animation. The sprite sheet puts it all in a single graphic and then has you bounce around various parts of that graphic. Handle file upload, that's the function that we jump to in case a file upload event occurs. Handle it complete, that's one comes if we're done. And so that's that. This is the HTML. This is not a whole lot here. It's about the same size as our other file. The what do we call it? The wrapper file. It's about the same size, but this is handling the entire animation itself rather than lateraling it off to the Flash player. This is doing it all here. So that's why we need all this JavaScript, because this is your early animation. All that's going on there, the shapes and so on. I'll try to work with this and see why the publish isn't working. I've had it working before, and then sometimes it doesn't when you go to publish. So, anyways, it's about late late. So do you have any questions before we call it a night?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Sounds good. So we plan on meeting Wednesday night, and on Wednesday night we'll go over doing some more publishing. We started going on publishing to Behance, and but I think we're going to run into some issues if we're trying to upload all these files to this particular site. So we'll talk more about publishing on this step here.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you Wednesday night.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Night.
All right. So one option for publishing on Beyond's website is to export your animation as a movie and/or video. So click export. Then once that's created, there it is. Okay. So load the MOV file. Very slow. Might be faster to just upload it to YouTube and then embed it. This is going to take several hours, so that's really what I probably recommend instead. All right, we'll go over this more Wednesday night, the different options we have.